What is the best microphone that you can buy for VoiceOver? Is it a Neumann? Is it a Sennheiser, Audio-Technica, Rode, Blue Yeti? The list goes on and on. We're going to talk about it today on the podcast. Welcome to another episode of the Voice Acting 101 podcast. I'm Jason, here to answer your VoiceOver questions in the least amount of time as possible. So the question this week is, what is the best microphone for VoiceOver? And I've also been getting some emails like, what do you think of this microphone for VoiceOver? Or what do you think of that microphone for VoiceOver? So this episode is kind of going to cover microphones as a whole. Microphones that came up this week were the Audio-Technica AT2020 USB, the Blue Yeti, and also the Rode NT USB. I've had other microphones come up in the past, but these just happen to be, I received emails this week about these three microphones. So I'll leave links to them in the resources section if you want to check it out for yourself. So to get to the answer real quick for today's question, what is the best microphone for VoiceOver? The answer is, there is no best microphone for VoiceOver. Many people have their own opinions. It's very subjective, and it's just how it sounds to you. And most importantly, how it sounds to your clients. Since there are so many opinions, I'm going to give my opinion, and I'm also just going to tell you some things to look out for. So first up, the two most popular microphones in VoiceOver. The first one would be the Neumann TLM103, which is the microphone that I'm using right now and I'm speaking into. And the other one is the Sennheiser MKH416. Now, both of these microphones cost about $1,000. That doesn't mean that you have to go out and spend that kind of money. In fact, when I first started in VoiceOver, I used the Electro Voice RE20, which is like a broadcast standard microphone. It costs around $400, I think, now. I picked it up because I actually did some work for someone and they paid me with a microphone. So I used it for VoiceOver for the first maybe 2 or 3 years that I was in VoiceOver. I never really liked it. I thought it just sounded too flat, but it was what I had. So that's what I used, and it worked for me for a few years. And then I eventually upgraded to the TLM103. Now, USB mics, I'm not a huge fan of USB mics, and I'm not really sure why. I've heard some great sounding VoiceOver come out of USB microphones. For me, I'm just used to working with an audio interface. So I prefer a microphone that requires an XLR, and then I can send that to an audio interface and just have more control. The USB microphones, it's kind of an all-in-one solution. You've got your knobs and your headphone jack right there. I don't like that. See what I mean? It's all opinion-based. Some people do like it, and it really comes down to just how the microphone sounds. But for me, it feels a little limiting to have just the knobs and the input right there on the microphone. Might be convenient for someone else. Now, like I said, you can get really good-sounding VoiceOver from a USB mic. Just test it out. And if you want me to do some microphone tests, there's tons of them on YouTube. But if you want me to do it, let me know in the comments below which microphone you'd like me to test out. Now, like I said, you can check out YouTube videos for that and get an idea of what the microphone's going to sound like. A lot of time, the room is not acoustically treated, so it's going to sound different. And that brings up the other point that your room is going to matter much more than the microphone that you buy. A less expensive microphone in a well-treated room is going to sound better than a more expensive microphone in a poorly treated room. So make sure that you save some of your budget to treat your room, because that's most important when it comes to microphone, to your sound. You can get away with a less expensive microphone, but that room's got to be really well treated. And in fact, when you buy an expensive microphone, it's going to pick up even more flaws in your room. So the more expensive the microphone is, the more sensitive it is, the better your room has to be treated in order for it to sound clean. And that's really what you're listening for, no matter which kind of microphone you pick or what mic you're going for. I look for a warm sound. I want it to be clean. Some microphones sound muddy. They have a bottom end that just sounds muddy, and some microphones sound hissy. I look for a warm and clean sounding microphone. Again, there is no best mic for VoiceOver. You just have to pick a mic based on your budget, and like I said, listen to some samples and pick one that's warm and clean that's going to make your voice sound the best that it can. And I've got a list of mics on the VoiceOver resources guide. I'll leave a link for that in the section below. So if I were just starting today, what would I do? I would go with the MXL V67G. I think it's only like $60 on Amazon. And knowing what I know today, it sounds like a beautiful microphone. It sounds very similar to the TLM103. So I would start with the MXL V67G, And then, of course, you're going to need other stuff like mic cables and an audio interface to go along with it, since it's not a USB microphone. But I would start with that microphone, and then if I felt like it, I would upgrade to the Neumann TLM 103. But the sound of those microphones are very similar, so if I was happy with it, I might just stick with the MXL V67G. No best microphone for VoiceOver. There are some popular microphones in VoiceOver, but that doesn't mean it's going to be right for you. So your best bet is just to test it out, see how your voice sounds on the microphone. That wraps up this episode of the podcast. Let me know in the comments below which microphone you're using, or which mic do you wish you were using. And like I said earlier, if you'd like me to do some mic tests, just let me know in the comments below. As always, if you have a VoiceOver question, you can leave it as a comment or record your question and then upload your MP3 to me. I'd love to hear your voice on the podcast. You can just use the upload button in the links section below. Thanks for listening. Have a great week. Hey, thanks for checking out this episode of the podcast. If you want to see another video, there's one waiting for you right here, or you can subscribe to the YouTube channel down in the corner. Or if you want to learn the 5 steps to becoming a voice actor, check out this free guide. It's available to download from voiceacting101.com/get started. All right, that's it. I'll talk to you next time. See ya.